good.
Good.
Tell us anything on injuries?
Buzo's out with knee soreness. Should be, practicing on Monday when we go into our 20 hours. Matt Nolan back to limited live stuff, but should be full go on Monday. Patton, a ways away, he's out indefinitely. Is that everybody? I think that's
I
it.
think so. Is he going to miss the season, Patrick, or do you know yet?
I mean, we have, he had the surgery, and it'll just be how rehab goes and stuff.
What's his injury?
I'd have to ask JY exactly what it is. We'll get it for you. You want to get it? Patton's injury. I don't know the exact, basically hip.
How's Desmond?
Desmond's been great. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been totally live, contact, everything for quite some time now. Yep.
With Rashaun, you said he has the most improved practice habits of anyone on the team. What's gone into that, and did you challenge him to do that, or is that something he's done?
Yeah, he's come the furthest from I thought practice habits wise, he had a ways to go for our culture, so to speak, and he's been unbelievable. I kind of whispered to my son at one point, he's does our DNA stuff maybe better than anybody, and when he got here the first week, he was, it was a struggle for him.
He looks in better shape too.
Great shape. Yeah, probably. I think that. You'd have to ask the guys, but I think that Josh Cohen and Rashaun are probably in the best shape of their lives, and Harry's probably pretty close. If I just kind of had to guess.
You made it clear that you guys recruited players from places that you guys respect as a staff, and for him coming from Bowling Green, when you talk about those habits, was there anything that you feel like you guys kind of had to course correct as a staff in those first few weeks?
With Rashaun?
Yeah.
I just think he's probably been one of the better players in their league, and he's got such a nose for the ball. I think that maybe for us he was just coming in here relying on his offensive rebounding, and I think that our pace of practice is challenging for everybody, or for a lot of people, and so I think that it was just a different environment for him. And I think sometimes when sometimes your better player, maybe doesn't practice, if he's playing a lot of minutes, and so we're not in a game situation right now. So for us, it's everybody's trying to fight for minutes and roles and rotations and all that stuff.
Where do you say after Desmond missed a corner three there that just, that shot was going to ultimately determine his career? Obviously, he didn't have the best year shooting the ball. And I think we talked to him a few months ago, and he said that the elbow stuff and the forearm stuff was he was just going through a lot of pain when he was shooting last year. What have you seen about how maybe just getting those surgeries has helped him there? And what have you seen change just in the shooting?
I think, first of all, just mentally, it was real. Nobody wants to have elbow surgery on both elbows. So, probably the floating bone stuff or whatever, just to get it cleaned up is one, mentally, because he said it bothered him all year. And so I think that, we might not see the fruits of that now, but I think once he gets into the season, we will. And I made that comment to him because he's an elite dribble driver. He's an elite mid-range guy. He's elite in transition. And so the one piece to take him to a whole nother level is making open shots. And he's been doing that for the most part in our limited live action.
What happened at the end there? It seemed like Josh and Harry kind of challenged the team. They weren't happy with some of the stuff defensively.
It was more offensive execution.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, we have some guys that are really, really cerebral and have really done a great job of picking up, because there's a lot of stuff in, which is what we wanted. We wanted, before we got into our 20 hours, we wanted to have a whole package in, 4 press breaks, 5 different after free throw game attacks, 6 plays off of a jump ball. We've got all that in, but when you get that much in, and the expectations from a half-court offense of knowing things, I think it's just it's part of, I'm glad that they spoke up and they just want all their teammates to know the plays, and it might just like, I think our sport doesn't do as good a job as football. In football, it's part of your, description of being a student athlete is knowing pass patterns, and I think sometimes in basketball you can get away with having natural skill, ability, and maybe you don't put the attention to detail like a football player would. So, and we've talked about that, months ago.
If you had your brothers, how many high school kids would you sign?
I don't even think I don't even think you can say that because, 2 years ago we had 6 freshmen, 3 one and done guys, because we had belief in those guys, and we had relationships, and we had those guys that wanted to go to Arkansas. So right now for USC, it's a whole nother layer too with name, image, and likeness, and so it's changed recruiting, and you've got to I don't know, because the transfer class to the high school, everything's evolving as we speak. So we need players that are realistic with their incoming role. We need players that are realistic with everything. If you could read between, and if they're like, so I can't answer how many. We want the 13 players that work together, fit together, want to be a part of this culture, want to play beyond college. So I don't know what those, there's no perfect number for us. Some years we've had 2 freshmen, some years we've had 6, some years we've had 4. I don't know what this class will look like. We're still a little bit behind this class, which we knew that. We're out every day. We've done a really good job as a staff getting out there, but now it's going to be, does this player's expectations fit? We've had, I feel like we're in a good spot with some guys, and going to be in a lot of players' top 2 or 3. But then it's a two-way street. Does their expectations align with our expectations? So I don't know how many.
So it sounds like if you can get the guys you really want, whether it's 2, 3, 4, whatever, you'll take them, and if you don't,
Yes.
you don't.
Yes. Yeah. I think that depending on the class and depending on the area that you're recruiting in and the area that you have a footprint in, I'm not trying to,
No.
I really don't, like in Arkansas, I'm only going to use that as an example. When we had a lot of good in-state players, we had larger recruiting classes, and so you can,
Can Wesley help you this year, do you think?
Wesley's a really gifted player. He's really behind in execution, but that's to be expected because he hasn't had the reps as everybody else. But he's very, very talented. He's got to get better off ball defensively, and he's got to understand the scheme of what's going on offensively and defensively, and the coaches are going to have patience, which I think we have. Now his teammates got to have a little patience as well, but he's going to have to put in an extra studying because he hasn't gotten the reps that guys have based on the injury. And then also it's really hard. A player's been out for a full year and a half. That's really what it was. I can't recall in my career ever coaching a guy that's been out that long. Even guys that have had major ACL. I've never had a guy that's out for basically a year and a half.
Most of it's just been, your dad was someone who pulled out basically every stop he could to get fans in the arena, and we've seen you so far here at USC. You get the Barstool guys in here, and you went out to a frat house and one of the football games. Just what has been kind of some of the motivation behind, just trying to energize excitement on this campus for this program?
Yeah, we've talked to our guys, like we didn't practice the weekend of the LSU football. They had a full I know they had 3 days off. They might have even had 4 days off. And I encouraged them, like, go to the football game. Let our fans, see you guys. Go as a group. I mean, we had a pretty good group go to the football game, and then, we made a decision as a group to go to the first volleyball game. Because it's like it starts with our interaction with our own student athletes. Like, that's the first group of people that we have to get to be like family and feel like we're supporting them, and then hope. And once you get the student athletes, then can you get the student body? Then it's the alumni, then it's the boosters, and then it's just the surrounding area. So I think that for us as a staff, for me, I've done more. I mean, it's every day. It's been something. Sometimes you feel like your gas tank's on empty, but then you got to wake up the next day and you got to do it again. Because, we get the market. Like, I know, and I talked to an NBA scout, and he said something that I had never thought of. He said, when you look at the Big Ten venues, for the most part, they're sold out. Purdue's going to be sold out. Michigan State's going to be sold out. Indiana's going to be sold out. And it's super hard to win, on the road in the Big Ten. Then your home court becomes really important. And quite frankly, our home court is going to be not as much of an advantage, only based on history over the last 20 years.
Goes back more than 20.
We can go as long as I can only remember 20. But that's, so we got to steal some games on the road, and we got to protect home court because, and it was interesting because the guy that made the comment coached in the SEC and the Big Ten, and he said the Big Ten road games for historically over time is even different than the SEC. Because the SEC only of late has had this type of basketball attendance. So it was a kind of a, words of wisdom that none of us had talked about or thought about, and it was like, wow. And then you add in our travel difficulty. So all these things we're talking to our team about, and the importance of trying to get out and promote. And my staff, I keep talking to the staff about, do we want to try the pregame warm-up again? We did it at Arkansas, and we tried it in Nevada, and they keep saying, Coach, stop with the nonsense.
Do you want a question, Mark?
Have you also noticed you guys aren't traveling much for non-conference?
Yep.
Was that a pretty intentional decision?
No question.
Considering
Yep.
the amount you guys are traveling?
Yeah, I think that with our travel in year one, not knowing what hotels to go to, not knowing what restaurants to go to, not even knowing should we practice at home and then travel, or should we practice once we get to the new place? And everyone's consensus is, well, let's travel here. And my consensus is, I want the guys to get their legs, after a long flight to go do something, to get the jet lag out. So all these things are, it's good that we're playing, in Palm Springs. That eliminates travel. We still haven't finalized our 2 exhibition games. Travel is a big consideration for that too, because because of the NBA travel and stuff, I laugh every year in February when all the assistant coaches and the players say they're tired, and I'm like, God, this is 30 games or we're 20 games in. I'm like, how about playing in the NBA for 82 games or playing in the G League for 50 games and you're traveling commercial? Like, stop with the, this is not that hard. It's hard to play in the G League and coach in the G League and get in at 4 o'clock and go play a game at 7. Yep. But there's a lot of people in college that get tired in February, and so we're trying to negate that a little bit by lack of preseason travel. And then once we get a lay of the land this year, then next year we need to go play some games on the road and do some things a little bit different than this year.
All right, thank you, Coach.